First off, I'll say I really miss you guys. Yeah, they moved me to the regiment, but I miss being a battalion chaplain. Okay, so, all right, let me dry my tears here and tell you, I want to, if I can put one image in your mind that will summarize everything you learned here in UMAPIT, I'm going to try to put this illustration in your mind of a tree. And everything you learn here, whether you like it or not, you guys are counselors. All you men in here are going to counsel your Marines whether you like it or not, and sailors. And so I'm gonna give you some trick tips. I hate to call it trick tips, but just some ways where you can approach being good listeners. And guess what? By the way, this can be applied as a dad. How many dads we got in here? Yeah, and as a husband, and as a friend, and as a leader. So, with that, what's the difference between field grade officers and company grade officers? I mean, no right or wrong answer. Just what do you think?
They can take your NJP.
They can what?
They can take the rank in NJP for.
Sure. They have authority. They have authority.
Experience and level of command.
Okay, I'm closer. That's where I'm going. Experience. What
Proximity
else?
to the Marines.
Say again?
Proximity to the Marines.
Yes, proximity to the Marines, right. The higher you go, the more behind a desk you get. Okay, so the answer is the ability to anticipate. So higher ups can see things before they happen. Junior officers, we're learning. I'm a junior officer. We are learning as we go. And so what's also different is the perspective. So if you have a problem set or an issue, a junior officer will look at it like this, and a senior officer will say, oh, this is what the person's going to do. So you watch senior chess players and junior chess players. That's what the difference is. I want to give you something that will hopefully change your perspective forever and change the way you engage your Marines. What you saw on that UMAPIT video was classic. It was a young Marine talking to a suicidal Marine, and they were the whole time I'm like pulling my hair out, like it was just. But I think they did that on purpose. They captured what's really happening. The girl was trying to fix him. It was way too fast. She never said the key things like, you know what, thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate your vulnerability right now. I mean, it took so much courage to admit that. I just want to say I'm honored by what you said right now. Those are the things. So I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but if you could imagine in your mind's eye this tree right here. And we've been talking about symptoms this whole class. And 1, 2, 3.
Oh, you're getting colorful this time.
I know. And I am an artist, Stevie.
Beautiful tree.
So I'm getting better and better. So I think we talk about symptoms. You saw in there on that domestic violence slide all kinds of symptoms. Just you've been in class for a while. Give me some more symptoms that you've been talking about in this class. Give me a symptom here. I'll start it off. Domestic violence. What else?
Depression.
Depression, right.
Anger.
Angry. And when we say anger, we really mean rage. Because anger is not bad in and of itself. It's the
Loss of control.
yes, loss of control. So when a person feels like they lost control, how are they acting? Got any?
Recklessly. Yeah.
Recklessly. So they're breaking stuff.
Endangering themselves.
Sure. Sir, how about they're violent? Right. Then sir, here DUI. The top 6 destructive behaviors in the fleet are suicide-related behavior, alcohol-related incidents, driving under the influence, domestic violence, sexual assault, and then drug abuse. Those are the top 6. And I write a lot about those things. That's why I know those things. But here, I'm gonna say something here. I don't care about any of this stuff, and neither should you. Like suicide-related behavior, SRBs, sounds shocking, but I don't care about suicide as much as I care about the thoughts that lead to it. Because if I cut this sucker off at the roots, guess what disappears? The fruit. If this is the rule of thumb. You cut something down at the root, the fruit disappears, and I don't even have to touch the fruit. But here's what we can get caught up in. Oh, I wonder what he was doing last night when he got drunk. And then if we don't step back and say, hey, I wonder how this Marine is thinking, then we're always going to be confused. It's like swatting. It's like looking at a bunch of flies, and we're like, okay, let's get a bunch of people together, but we'll study. I noticed the flies do this, and then studying the patterns. And we're like, no, you knuckleheads, just take out. There's a piece of poop right there. Okay, so my son pulled off his diaper one time and he threw it in the corner. Like, that's a problem. But I can get caught up with the flies and everything, or I can say root cause right there. I throw away the diaper. Guess what goes away after a while? Everything else. The flies just disappear. It's really weird. It's really weird. It's not rocket surgery here. Okay. So, but here's what I'm saying. The byproduct of me not focusing on the symptoms, which is what our training said, and focusing on here, is I'm super calm no matter what people tell me. I mean, I've been doing this chaplain gig for 13 years, and I have heard so many gnarly things that people in a million years would never hear. And so I've learned to say, oh wow, thanks for sharing. Like I'm wowed because most people don't share those things, but you are so transparent and vulnerable. I just want to honor you right now by saying thank you. So we've seen, I'll mention it now, you've seen race, you've seen ACT, all these ways that the DOD wants you to engage with suicidal people. And this is the unofficial one. This is Ryan Barang's model, but I would say TACT. And I presented this to the Navy's suicide prevention coordinator before she retired. And I said, hey, ma'am, what do you think's the first thing that should come out of our mouth? The very first thing when someone says they're suicidal. And she and I had a disagreement here. I said, well, I think it's T. Here, I said ACTS. I just said ACTS. Ask, care, treat. But I think there's something that comes before. We should thank them. I mean, I can't think of anything better than for someone to say, you know what, chaps, I am. It's so bad. I'm just thinking about killing myself. And watch my tone of voice and watch my demeanor. Wow, thanks. Hey man, thanks for sharing that. And that must have taken so much courage for you to share that to me. Like, you have now trusted me, so I'm all in. Because you trusted me with that information, I'm here for you. And unlike you, I can keep that a secret, actually. You are a mandated reporter, but you can still convey that you care. Because nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Yes. So I get it. Your mission is to locate, close with, and destroy the enemy by fire, maneuver, and repel the enemy's assault by fire and close combat. I get it. But you'll never be able to do that if these guys don't want to follow you there. And some of them, like, I listen how they talk. They talk to me about you, you know? And they talk about you behind your back. And so I get the privilege of saying, okay, so, hey, just between you and me, what do you think of that guy? And they will have no problem saying, well, I mean, yeah, we have to do what he says, but nobody respects him. I'm like, no, well, why not? And it usually comes back to a care thing. Opposite, I'll pick on someone. So I've heard your Marines talk about you. They're like, I will go to war with that man.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's what they've said.
I'm doing it right.
Yeah. I'll go to war with him. And I was like, why? Because he freaking cares. And they can't put their name, they can't put on something, but they're like, he just like cares, okay? And they've said that about several of you. So this with everything, I don't care what the symptom is, if our response every single time is, hey, thanks for sharing that. Even if it's disciplinary, you can get to that later. You can be like, okay, so okay, I just had lunch with somebody. I'm like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? He's like, I'm going home. And I'm like, how far is home? He's like, it's a long way. I was like, well, Colonel's policy is that you don't go more than 30 miles. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, look, thanks for sharing that. Seriously, thanks for, you didn't have to share that. But here's what happened. And I just went into that, like, man, everybody can get crushed for that. And it's basically you saying, like, forget the Colonel's policy. But I did honor it because I don't want him to stop there. I want him to keep unpacking. And but with that, if you reinforce your Marines, the colonel has some guidance to follow it. Okay. All right. Because it might have been one of yours. Okay.
Thanks
with-
for sharing.
Yes.
1 second,
Yes.
I gotta make a call.
With that, okay. So, I'm just going to end with I'm going to give you some catchphrases that I always use. The heart of every issue is the issue of the heart. Now, when I say the heart, I'm not talking about a physical blood pumping organ. I'm talking about the deepest part of your soul. The ancient Greeks used the word cardia. The doctors stole that and said cardiologist is the person who studies the heart. But when the ancient Greeks used cardia, they were talking about the deepest part of the person, the decision maker, the thing that the thinking capacity of our being. So here's body, here's mind, and here's your heart. Your soul, actually, and the deepest part of the soul is the heart. So here's how it works every single time. Before your Marines do something, they think about it, and before they think about it, they dwell on it, and they make a decision in their heart. Every single time. So by the time it gets up to here, I don't care that he did this or that. I want to know what he was thinking. And by the way, there's something else that happens to all of us. There's wounds. I put 5 here because I believe there's 5 wounds on humanity. I'm part of an organization called Mark Men for Christ, and you'll see this old school Jerusalem cross. Well, it stands for the 5 wounds of humanity: fear, anger, deceit, shame, and sadness. And so we exist to help people, and men specifically, deal with all those wounds. Now, everybody in here has got a dad, and you got a mom, or had one, but you have wounds from those people. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. But the wounds of a father are deeper than the wounds of a mother. I get it. I had an RP years and years ago. Every time I'd pat him on the back, he would jump because his mom used to just walk by him and punch him in the face. Just some abusive things. But I've never met a guy who didn't have wounds from a father. Whether it was he scared you, he lied to you, fear, anger, deceit, shame, sadness. Whether he did something or he didn't, you have wounds. We all have wounds right here. FADNSS. So here's how complex it gets. A Marine is acting like this. Let me use I statements. I'm a very angry person, and there's been a lot of whining and crying and yelling in my house during this quarantine period, but I have since repented, and my kids have forgiven me. But sometimes I don't even know why I'm angry. I'm like, God, why am I so pissed off right now? Dude, I'm being a jerk. And I was in tears the other day. I was like, I'm such a jerk to my 11-year-old. So I called up a buddy. I'm like, dude, I'm a jerk. I'm confessing this. So my buddy Jared's like, I'm so glad you are just as messed up as I am. He's like, dude, we can be friends. And for me, that's what community looks like. I confess my sins. I'm not like knocking on a it's not a religious confession like that. It's me connecting with another man saying like, dude, I am jacked up. He goes, I'm jacked up. And then we live in a Me Too world, right? So that connection happens. And when that connection happens, I'm actually exposing these roots. That's what's going on. But I'm acting all angry, and I'm believing something down here. I'm gonna fill these in. I believe there's 4 core. And not only that, but I have wounds here as well. And I think a great sign of strength is a man who can admit, yeah, I've been hurt here. Man, I'm believing some of these things. And that's why I drink. And it doesn't excuse it, but holy cow, man. When my wife says this, I feel like doing this. And we read about how illegal it is to break someone's phone. I've smashed my wife's phone before. We were stationed in Virginia, and I had just come down from a men's retreat. Man, I was so hot. I grabbed the phone and I chucked it. It was a brand new iPhone too, and that thing shattered. And I was like, I need to be seen. So jumped right into community again. So I'm just filling these roots, and you saw it there. You saw it there on that last slide. I believe there's 4 core roots: control, power, comfort, and approval. I can't think of a single destructive behavior that we do, that your Marines do, that your sailors do, that's not linked to one of these. You name it. It's going to be linked to one of these. Or maybe because it's roots, maybe it's going to be linked to all of them. So they say rape is not about sex, it's about power. Power move. Or control, whatever. But it's linked to one of these too. Some Marines drink and they've never drank before. Some they do things that they've never done before for a little bit of this. Approval. Comfort. Well, if you've never been to a counselor, it's because it's not comfortable. And if I worship comfort, I'll be like, I'm just going to do what's comfortable. Tell another guy about my struggles at home? Oh, heck no. That's a comfort decision. Getting the last say with your kids, you ever argue with your kids and you just pull rank on them and you get the last say? That's a power move. Control, I don't have any tattoos, but if I had one, maybe it'd be like, I control nothing. Or it'd be a question like, who's in control? It's not me. I only control one thing, and that's the way I respond to everything that happens to me. We want to talk about wounds, man. If we have coffee one day, I'll tell you my story. I got a few of these. I don't look like it. My family doesn't look like it. They usually look at us and like, oh, how cute. That family's so cute. Like, can't relate. Yes, I've been hearing so many confessions for so many years that I know there can't be someone who's not like the rest of us. And we're all broken people with a lot of these, with a lot of these, and a lot of these. And in fact, if I meet someone and they're too put together, like if I meet like a real life Ned Flanders, I just don't trust them. And you and I have met a Ned Flanders.
Yes.
And I know that's way too much information there. Okay, but I meet guys like, hey, hidely ho, neighbor, and even in this venue, like, oh, and they're always, it's called toxic positivity. I just read that yesterday. They're just like, praise the Lord, man, praise the Lord, hey, hallelujah, brother. Like, so what's up, dude? Everything's great. This quarantine is just great. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear like, man, it's pretty rough, and I'm struggling at home. And that makes me want to have a drink with a guy, with a nice frothy, orange juice or something. So.
Just two
Yeah,
drinks.
yeah. 2 or milk. Milk is what I.
Milk is 0.
Okay, so with that, gents, how can I sum up this whole thing? It's with this. The heart of every issue is an issue of the heart. This is where your heart is. This is where your brain is, or your chemicals, whatever, your oxytocin, your serotonin. Your body keeps the score. Whatever's happened to you, your body will log that in. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. And then this is how we act. So what I'm encouraging you today, sit down and let your ears become graves so your Marines can bury their problems and begin actually healing. I know that's not in your mission set of like helping Marines heal from, but it has to be. And the byproduct of helping your Marines, listening to them, showing them you care, is that they'll say, forget it, I'm going to this, I will lay down my life for this guy. And we've read stories about Marines that have pulled their officer over a flipped Humvee and, like, boom. They don't do that for guys they don't care about. So that is all I have. The heart of every issue is the issue of the heart. We can lead the way. Let me say this for real. The last thing. Whenever a pastor says, in closing, that's always like 10 more minutes. But one of these days, gentlemen, one of these days, you will have to sign up for counseling. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but one of these days, you're going to be like, I should do what that chap said. And you're going to walk into a counseling office, you're just going to sign up, and it's going to be phenomenal. It will rock your world. And that's all I have, gentlemen. Any questions? All right, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right.